This is about the conspiracy theorist lied. Now, why am I saying this? Well, if you were to just randomly look up, search on the internet, Loud Inky, you're going to get a bunch of conspiracy theories. They're going to talk about aliens and the so-called genetic modification and all that garbage. And then they're going to start talking about Enlil started the flood, and then Inky saved man from the flood. No. In the older cuneiform text, that did not happen at all. The original flood starter was not Enlil. It was Ishkur. And Ishkur and Adad come from the same cuneiform symbol. Go look it up. Linguists know this. It's common knowledge when it comes to researching the Sumerian text. So, who's this Adad then? Well, I mentioned Adad several times in the past. In different dialects, he's called different names. Aton, Aden, Atim, and Hadad, or actually more preferably Hadu. If you look up Atem, the Egyptian god, the Egyptians said that he started the flood just like Adad and Ishkur. Research Adad because he's the god of storms, and he was the original periodic flood starter way before Enlil ever was. And if you research all this, you see that Atem, Ares, Aden, Adad, Hadu, it's all the same god. And then you begin to realize that using etymology, you can tell that the god of the Tanakh, or Judaism specifically, is all based on that same god character. And it had different attributes of itself spread out across different cultures. Even in Rome, they called Ares Mars. They just they exchanged the E for the M, the E sound for the M sound. And in Rome, Mars is the god of Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome. Or I should say, Romulus is the founder of the Roman kingdom because Romulus killed Remus. And that's where they got this, and they were both brothers, so that's where they got the story of Cain and Abel. Again, same God, the same God that started the flood, the same God that the same God of Cain and Abel. It's all the same guy. In the Egyptian story, in the hymn of the Aten, if you go read it, it mentions that Aten reigned, or I should say, ruled over people that were divided by tongue. So, the god of the confusion of tongues. It's all the same God. But these conspiracy theorists want to tell you that the God of the Bible is based on several different deities combined into one. That's not true at all. It's actually all the same entity. It always was. And there was a big fight over about this in Egypt back in the day. And you had, which I would call them the pharaohs of Aten, and the other one is the pharaohs of the priesthood. And you had different worshippers of Aten, specifically during the 14th century BC, where Akhenaten declared Aten was the one true God. You could go look this up. He was the earliest monotheist that we know of. So we can show, using etymology, again, it ties into history, and it shows that he's also the god of monotheism. And if you look up the hymn for the Aten and Pharaoh Akhenaten, you'll see that he came up with the idea that became the Ten Commandments. Because he's a guy that said that Aten is invisible. He cannot be depicted. And he also said, don't worship any other god. That's where the Ten Commandments comes from. And that's pretty much all I have to say.